if you stick with the angle of ENKI being an egg birth only, then that leads you to believe Anu adopted him and influenced him as a father figure only without the essence.
It's really just emotions and how people felt, just like a dysfunctional family.
Yes.
Yeah, all these decisions, these worldly decisions affecting millions of people.
It would be really hard to understand the Bible, or specifically Genesis, without reading about the Anunnaki.
Let this day be a day of rest, the seventh day hereafter, a day of resting always to be. Let this place henceforth by the name Eridu be called, home in the faraway, the meaning thereof will be. Let a promise be kept. Let Alalu of Eridu, the commander, be declared.
He took on the savior complex.
Right.
He said, Nibiru's fate is in my hands.
Wow. He did say that. Ulmash, he who what in the waters swarms knows, who of fowl that fly has understanding. What the fuck did I just read? When did you go to Egypt?
2019 and 2022. On our bus, we got the full Khufu and Khafre spiel.
Oh, God.
From conspiracies to cryptids, we unveil the Welcome to the Grey Pill Podcast, where truth's unveiled, exploring the depths beyond what is retail. Conspiracies, esoteric knowledge so enthralling. Open up your mind, let's dive into the sprawling. Oh yeah. Grey Pill awaken, question what you know. Peeling back the latest, let your curiosity grow. Uncover hidden realities, break the mold. Come take the journey, let your mind unfold.
And welcome to another episode of the Grey Pilled Podcast, everybody. Another Pantheon project. I'm here with Adrian. What's up, Adrian? What's going on, brother?
Doing swell. Excited
Having
to
a
talk
good
to you
Saturday?
about. Oh yeah. The rays are flowing, knowledge is growing, and it's time to get it on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. So we're here today to talk about ENKI, the top dog.
ENKI the Great.
Yep. Who this whole story is really about, right?
It really is.
He's the main character.
I'd say so. It really depends on which tablet or text that you lean towards, but there's so many that reference him as the supreme intelligent leader and the compassionate one that it's hard not to argue he was the greatest.
Yeah, man. And you see that throughout all the tablets and all of Sumerian history, that he's everywhere and he's doing everything, it seems. So, I mean, where we start off with him coming to Earth, I guess.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, let's go all the way back, man.
Where was he
get ahead of
born?
ourselves. Yeah, so you had mentioned ENKI was an egg birth, correct?
Correct. In Pantheon, we talk about ENKI being born of royal parentage, but specifically a royal mother without a biological father. And this is the Orion Queen, also known as Maya, hailing from the Orion star system. So by our accounts, ENKI was born in Orion, and as part of the matrimonial royal union between Orion and Sirius, he became the next in line to rule the conjoined empire. However, there was a debate and a discrepancy on what was right, and lo and behold, Anu's son, with a physical traditional humanoid birth with Antu. So ENKI was older, but Anu's biological birth with Antu produced Enlil. And he was born in the Sirius system. And so ENKI and Enlil were both assigned to help Anu rule Sirius, but then it became ruling Nibiru, which was their colony outpost planet, which was also a military planet with weapons and warfare technology, but also kind of a exploratory leapfrog planet to go mine resources in nearby solar systems. So
Interesting.
as they matured, Enki and Enlil, and received their educations, they were both stationed on Nibiru proper, with Anu primarily living on Sirius, giving them commands, but also letting them decide affairs on their own accord. And then essentially it was determined that Enlil would be the supreme ruler of Nibiru, which is like after Anu retired, which essentially meant that he controlled Sirius also. Like,
Bro.
It's like if you run Nibiru, essentially you're like the figurehead for Sirius, which is
You're like
the male figurehead
the
for the
head
Sirius
of
Orion.
he's the forefront. He's the spearhead of
Right.
the entire outpost or the entire civilization. Because I'm guessing there's, I mean, of course, there's other planets in Sirius, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are all these beings on these other planets the same type of Anunnaki as Anu's line?
I can't say for sure. I think
Right.
the majority of intelligent species in our section of the universe mature and evolve to be humanoid in form, bipedal, so to speak. As far as what they looked like, did they look like Anu or his Syrian offspring? Who knows? It's like we don't know if a true person born on Mars looks like us with the same skin tone, or perhaps there's little miniature differences. But even if there were other planets with intelligent life in that specific Sirius star system, they were under the control of Anu's home planet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was the head of that star cluster.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good deal. That's all. I was just wondering. That's a lot of that's a lot of rule.
It is. It is.
A whole
And
I mean, a whole galaxy, right?
yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
And then not only that, he's essentially like the number one or number two of Orion as well. He's the male figurehead while Maya's the female. But
That's why
essentially
they were set up together to have
yeah,
ENKI.
exactly. And it was to promote peace, because before Enki and Enlil were born, like there's probably hundreds and thousands of years of warfare, like Star Wars, going on between these races.
Yeah, it talks about it in other ancient texts, like the Vedas and stuff. The war in heaven, right?
Yes.
This was a
Yes.
very long war, a long occurring war for thousands of years, probably tens of thousands of years.
Yes.
Maybe even hundreds. We don't know for sure.
Right.
So, did ENKI have any of Anu's essence at all?
Man, I love that question.
Right? Because so, or was Anu just a father figure? Like, he basically adopted ENKI.
If you stick with the angle of Enki being an egg birth only, then that leads you to believe Anu adopted him and influenced him as a father figure only, without the essence. Now when I first started reading about this stuff, he was son of Anu, but him and Enlil had different mothers, so they were half brothers. But in more recent research and things we've uncovered, this Sirius or this Orion angle opens up a whole new can of worms, because
I know, dude, it gets me so excited.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
your angle on this, man. I was telling my buddy Tomcat earlier. I had done Strange Brew earlier, and we had a blast, dude. He doesn't hold back at all. Did Strange Brew earlier. Shout out Tomcat. We had a good time, but I kind of explained to him this story, and he's very interested. I think he may join us for a couple episodes, dude. He's down to learn, you know.
Yes.
So I kind of explained to him a little bit about Marduk and the fall of the Ajiji and everything. And as soon as I started talking about that, he was hooked, man. That's probably why I lead with that a lot, because people like to talk about the fallen angels and all that. But when you look at that story, it's Marduk. I mean, the Ajiji are the fallen angels, and I guess you could call them the fallen cherubim. From a source I read, it's a PDF. It's one of those Ninurta PDFs that I downloaded, maybe Enlil the Great Dragon. So ENKI, so he was ENKI before he was Ea, because I know ENKI means, is that just Lord of the Earth, just like Enlil means Lord of the Sky, right?
So he was first titled Ea.
First was Ea. Okay.
Yeah.
So we should have already been referring to him as Ea.
We could, but we still call Alelu when he was originally Alshar.
I gotta make a note of that, dude. I mean, we haven't done the Alelu episode yet.
Yeah.
But be sure to make a note of that. I'm sure you have plenty more notes than that.
He'll get what's coming to him.
Oh, he will. He did. But yeah, man. I want to read you off kind of who I think ENKI is. You want to hear?
Let me get through his name meaning real quick.
Go ahead and let's get through that. So Ea.
This is from Pantheon.
Okay.
The Orion Queen's oldest son went by the princely title Ea, also rendered Aja, Aya, or Aje. Ea originally meant divine being. And then later, so this is 500,000 years ago, right?
Right.
Ea, divine being. In 6,000 years ago in Sumeria, that term became he whose house is water. And a lot of that had to do with the age of Pisces and space, which the ancients referred to space as the ocean of the Ka. Ea's other title was ENKI, which meant creator prince. ENKI would over time be abbreviated to ENKI or ENKI.
Okay.
So Ea means divine being, and ENKI means creator prince.
And Ea also has something to do with the water, correct?
Right. A much later interpretation by the humans in Sumeria.
And this lines up with Neptune and Poseidon, right?
1000%. ENKI is Poseidon and Neptune.
Yeah. I heard somebody talking about it, and it was probably just them getting the name wrong. They were talking about Enlil representing the trident, and I was like, that was ENKI.
Yeah, don't test us.
Yeah, don't. Oh, I love it, man. Yeah, bring it, brother. We got this shit on lock, dude. Regardless. Have you seen the new thing Billy Carson's coming out with, him and Matt LaCroix?
Which part? Oh, the workshop.
It's called Anunnaki. It's what we're doing.
Oh yeah. We're them and they're us. We're just
I'm hoping I may try reaching out to Matt. He's a real popular guy, so I don't know, but we'll see. Maybe we can do one together or something, dude. That would be a treat, man. I know you would love that. Yeah, it really would. And I think maybe that may get this boosted a little bit more, dude. People, once people start watching these and we have a whole series of them, I think that's when they're going to hit.
Right.
Once we have most of them done, so they can go in and kind of dive a little deeper. And then we're not stopping there, you know? We're going to go further. We're going to cover all of these names in here. I really want to get to every single one of them. just to see if there's similarities anywhere else in any other ancient texts, or if, who's the son of who, and who's the mother, who's the father. And we can even do like a family tree on a PowerPoint
Oh yeah.
for an episode, and kind of do it, and maybe do it on a live, stream it on a live, and people can give their opinions on what they think. I don't know, man.
Dude, I have ideas, but I don't want to give them away because they're so good and we can't have people steal them.
We'll
But
talk about it later.
There's ways to teach people about this stuff and connect the various cultures.
Yeah, man. You're right. We'll talk about it later after we get done. Let's we don't want to give anything away. Our treasure trove.
Just give you a glimpse. So, yeah, essentially, where are we at? ENKI and Enlil are on Nibiru, kind of vying for this power, right?
Yeah, so ENKI's the firstborn, right?
Yes.
But Enlil has reign on Nibiru over him, correct?
Correct.
And this right here, and I understand why ENKI would be mad. ENKI goes to Earth first. And then Enlil just comes down and is like, nah, bro.
7 stars later.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. So that's, do some quick math here, bro.
I got you, bro.
Oh, you got me. There we go.
So approximately 480,000 years ago, right? Or 480,000 BC. Let's call that Shar 0.
Okay.
In that
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. Alelu transmits the message back to Sirius that he's found gold on Earth. Anu asks the princes on Nibiru what they're going to do about it. ENKI volunteers to take heroes to Earth. This is all within the same Shar, right?
Yes. So, now, this goes into the cuneiform tablet of ENKI and the World Order. The 50 heroes from Nibiru, and they each have a role.
Yes.
Very similar to the angels.
Yes.
Having roles.
Yes.
And so I've heard this referred to as ENKI and the World Order. Everybody go to Amazon.com and buy PANTHEON 1, the Golden Veins, right now. This is key to researching anything Nephilim, Anunnaki. Buy this book. It's worth it. Yeah. Anyway, let's pull this up. So this is a depiction of Ea, or ENKI.
Yes.
Now, and there's the wings, as you see. He has his bag.
Yes.
With his mana in it. And up here, there's his pine cone in his hand. He has his watch. I always forget about the watch, man.
He's got 2 watches, man. He's blinging.
Yo!
He's probably got an Apple Watch on one side and
a Nibiru watch on the other, or something, man. An Eden watch. I don't know what they would have called them. They definitely had cell phones and stuff, man. Like they definitely had all this technology we have now. There's no way they didn't.
Yeah, they had.
Aren't there like pictures of old cell phones with like Sumerian writing on them and stuff that have been found? I've seen a couple on the internet. Maybe they're fake, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's hard to discern just from a photo what's real, but
especially with AI.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been to Egypt and seen hieroglyphs of things that look like spaceships.
When did you go to Egypt?
2019 and 2022.
How was it?
Life-changing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Me and you should go. We should I should bring the family. We should go take a trip with people or something.
Yeah. I'd love to go with Billy on his tour.
Me too, man. Yeah. Me too. He is able to go into places that a lot of people can't go.
Exactly. And
he knows people who know about what we're talking about and don't spit the bullshit that they're told to tell tourists about. This was built by the Pharaoh, and Right.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
on our bus we got the full Khufu and Khafre spiel.
Oh God. I'd be like, yeah, let me off, dude. Well, not in the middle of Egypt. I don't know.
Yeah,
I may not want to get off the
you don't,
bus.
you don't want to argue and create an international incident in
Oh
those
God.
scenarios, but you
You
just
may have to sedate me if we go. I don't know.
no, we'll find the right people.
We'll have a good time, man.
We'll get,
Yeah,
we'll
no.
get the right access.
Hey, if we focus on it, we can make it happen, dude. Everything's possible, especially through the Creator and through our Christ, man. You know,
Absolutely.
just got to keep at it. So his watches, did they all have watches like this?
A lot of them did.
Yeah, I've seen it
Especially
depicted in most
yeah,
paintings or most carvings.
right. And like you were joking about it a second ago, but what if one told Earth time and one told Nibiru time? You know,
Dude, I
they
didn't even think about that.
I mean, it would be important to know what's going on in both places.
Of
Like
course. Of
how,
course.
and I'm sure there's communication uses for it as well, like a little, like the modern day Apple Watch. You got the internet on there, their
You
version of the
talk on
internet.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been even a vocal amplifier. So when people hear like this thunderous voice of a god, you don't see these depictions of them with megaphones or microphones, but maybe
It
all
could
they
just be
right here,
like that. Oh my God, dude.
you know? Maybe
Oh man.
that pine cone has other properties too. Like it's the symbol of
That pine cone is the symbol for the pineal gland, but also that I think that's what they use to build the pyramids, man. I think that may be sound frequency technology.
then it
You ever
all
thought about that?
oh yeah.
They just
Not specifically with the pine cone, but absolutely sound in the pyramids.
what was your interpretation of the pine cone besides the pineal symbolism?
I believe it has to do with the tree of life and the
Okay.
the hermetic tree of life. And if you're talking about the pineal gland, you're talking about really that top crown Sephiroth, the very Kether, the one at the top. So, the pine cone drops from trees from the top or from a tree to the bottom. From our perspective, it's coming from straight above. And maybe the pine cone falling to the ground is like that crown chakra or crown Sephiroth on the tree of life coming all the way down to Malkuth on earth and bringing the knowledge for you to now navigate back up the tree, back to the kingdom.
Yeah. All right, talk more. Come on. You got me, dude.
You want to go up the middle path, or do you want to cross all of them like a
Let's
snake?
cross them, man. Let's
Yeah.
get into it. We're talking about ENKI, the serpent in the Bible.
Yeah.
Let's be real. That we'll talk about that in a little bit. We're not going to dwell too much on the biblical text this episode because we don't know if this is going to be the only ENKI episode.
Right.
We may have to do 2 or perhaps 3.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll play it by ear, or we could take a break, and come back. But
well, you got to think there's between like nearly 200,000 years of ENKI's activity on Earth before he creates Adam.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot to unpack in that time span.
I didn't even fathom that, dude.
Yeah.
That slipped my mind. Like when you texted me about Adamu earlier, it took me a second to put together what you were saying. And I was like, oh man. And that's when I asked you, maybe Issachar is the daughter of Ishtar. Yeah. Maybe she did seduce Samael. Maybe she was Lilith. Maybe the daughter of Ishtar was. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm whispering.
Yeah.
We'll save that for the Ishtar episode, which is probably going to be a 3-part as well.
That'll break the internet.
Yeah, that, and then when we get into Thoth,
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a good one. But I think when we do Marduk, it should be maybe Marduk and Nabu.
Mm-hmm.
So we can talk about both of them, how they were as Enki and Ningajita were,
Yeah.
as father and son, best
Yeah.
friends, so to say. Because Marduk was once best friends with his father. But
Mhm.
after so long of Marduk being cast out, and I mean, that's what you get when you're a bad boy. You know what I mean?
He
You
was a
get in
bad boy.
trouble. You get put in the
Yeah.
fucking corner of the world. You
Yeah.
get exiled. Hey, go to this land over here and stay there until your grandfather comes thousands of years later and tells you it's okay. You're fine. And by that point, he's already like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh God, man,
Yeah.
it's tragic
Like
in my opinion.
who would you have play Marduk in a movie? That's the
Oh my God.
you know?
um. Oh man, maybe Jason Momoa, Aquaman.
Okay. Okay.
I could see him fitting a pretty good Marduk. All right, so Enlil has rain on Nibiru.
Yes.
Did Enki resent his father because of this, or did he blame more so Enlil?
I'll read a passage from Pantheon.
Okay,
This is like English class all over again.
we're good, dude.
All right. You asked if Enki resented Anu more than Enlil. And
Yes.
my first guess is that probably Anu more than Enlil because Enlil didn't make the rule, right? Enlil is susceptible to the same rule that Enki is. The rules are coming from not just Anu, not just the Orion Queen, but their councils of people who vote on the laws and these laws of succession. So there was this consolation prize where Enlil's going to rule first, but then next in line would be the offspring of Enki, which was Marduk.
Marduk.
Right.
Right, his oldest son.
Right. Now, one thing I'm unclear of is why didn't it go straight from Enlil to Enki? Why did Enki get skipped altogether and it went straight to his son? Or maybe they're gonna like let Enki run Orion while Enlil runs Nibiru. That's one thing I'm not 100% about.
Because it seems to me that Enlil and even Marduk hated humans.
Yeah.
Unless they were worshiping them directly.
Yeah, definitely a love-hate relationship. Like you got to remember Marduk married a human woman, but
Yes.
also murdered a lot of humans.
Yes, as they all did. Well, I can't speak for Enki. Did he ever have any participation in destroying cities or civilizations?
Well, you know his greatest. We're now jumping ahead to
I'm sorry.
the no, it's fine. The book of Genesis, right? The generations of Isis, where
Right.
the tale and the story is almost over. Like the destruction of the 5 cities has been done. Sodom and Gomorrah are wiped out, and now Enki is like writing his lamentations or dictating them to his scribe. And so, did he directly murder people? Like, not with his hands, not that we have a lot of evidence of, but he produced Nergal, his son.
Who was a murderer.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And Enki didn't want them to drop the weapons of terror on those cities, especially Sodom and Gomorrah, but he probably wishes he had done more to stop it. But at the same time, what was he going to do? Like the order was laid out.
Do you think when it says in the Bible that the men in Sodom were trying to sodomize the angels, do you think that was symbolic in any way? Or do you think they were, is that where the people who worshiped Enki lived? What were the Sumerian names of Sodom and Gomorrah,
they
man?
they were worshiping Marduk. These places,
Right.
Marduk
Okay.
and Nabu were going around and like campaigning for them to worship them.
Yo, yeah, you're right. You're right. While all the other family is fighting and
Yeah.
trying to, they're going around. Yeah, dude,
So-
I forgot about that.
So then you got Enlil, the Lord of the Earth, who commands the pilots with the nukes. And he's like, these cities are not only sinning, they're loud. This one over here, they're doing sodomy on each other. Not only that, they worship my arch nemesis, Marduk. Fuck them. Like, that's the mindset of a psychopathic Anunnaki god.
of a narcissist, of like, yeah, dude, oh my god. So what were these cities called in Sumer? What were Sodom and Gomorrah called?
I've always called them what they're called in Genesis.
I think they're a part of the 5. Yeah.
I don't find the cities in the text. It just says it says the 5 cities, and Ninurta made his way from Mount Meshu, and they just keep calling it the Great Calamity, but it lines up with the events of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Correct. And that's when Ninurta and Nergal went in and took it out in like a blink of an eye.
Yes.
And I mean, when I picture it, dude, they were either in these little like fighter jets, or they were literally in jetpacks or wings, just like with a giant like flamethrower just scorching the earth. Because wasn't Nergal known as Era after that?
Yes, the Scorcher.
The Scorcher, right. And Ninurta was referred to as the Destroyer.
Yes.
Right? So the Destroyer and the Scorcher, that's terrifying.
It is.
Yeah, man. It's 2 fallen angels that I don't want to meet.
To Mount Meshu, Ninurta departed. Behind him, Nergal followed. The mount and the plain in the heart of the 4th region, Ninurta from the sky surveyed. So the 4th region, that's got to be the Middle East. The first terror weapon from the skies, Ninurta let loose. The top of Mount Meshu, with a flash, it sliced off the mountain's innards. In an instant, it melted. So these people have mountain destroyer weapons.
Yeah,
obviously
they're toppling mountains.
With the brilliance of 7 suns, the plain's rocks into a gushing wound were made. The earth shook and crumbled. The heavens, after brilliance, were darkened. Like, that's just scratching the surface of how it describes the event.
Right. We're going to delve deeper into that whole event or story whenever we dive into Nergal. And I'm sure when we dive into Ninurta. So
we time traveled like 480,000 years.
Yeah, I went on another tangent and got off track. So we were now at ENKI. So his supremacy was taken from him by his brother.
As messed up as it is, the reason is because ENKI comes from Orion, and the rulership was more about Sirius Nibiru, which was Anu creating Enlil.
That makes more sense.
And ENKI was just this older figurative prince, the son of the queen, who like was born into royalty, but he wasn't like Anu's like offspring top pick.
ENKI reminds me of Moses and the Pharaoh, like their relationship with the Pharaoh's parents.
Yeah,
Moses was kind of brought in. They found him adopted, you could say. And Pharaoh, I mean, I think they had a better relationship than ENKI and Enlil at first, at least, before that whole story unfolded of the Exodus and everything. And I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah,
following clouds through the desert.
Yeah,
So Alalu, or what's his name?
It started as Alshar.
Okay, so Alshar. So Alshar goes to Earth. He leaves. He escapes Nibiru.
Yeah, by this time he is called Alalu.
Okay.
He has escaped to Earth and found what he's essentially found evidence of gold.
Of gold,
which is the number 1 metal resource they were looking for.
And so then he radios back, and the names of these devices that they use, if this doesn't prove that this stuff is advanced technology, I don't know what does. Let's see. Let me see. That which the water sucks in, that's a name of a tool.
Yes.
Um,
The beam that penetrates.
yeah, the beam that penetrates.
You know,
Yeah, man.
the one they found the gold with here looks like it's just called a tester.
Really, when Alalu leaves Nibiru, it talks about the chariots, firestones, Abgal stirred up. Their home-like music was enthralling. The chariot's great cracker he enlivened, a reddish brilliance it was casting. This is them starting up a ship.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's oh, here it goes. It shall be that which shows the way for you, which is a map, obviously. There's more examples of these throughout this book, man. Maybe we can make a list or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, the tester into the waters. He inserted the fish's suit off he took, the commander's seat he occupied. The speaker of words he stirred up. The speaker of words, so it's just a radio. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Yeah, this stuff is fascinating, dude. It literally describes them getting in UFOs and taking off.
Yes.
And explains it in these ways that you read it and you're like, that doesn't make any sense at all. But then once you see it for what it is, it changes everything.
Right.
Like, oh, now I understand the whole story. It seems to me like it'd be real hard to understand this story unless you look at it from this perspective.
Yeah. Well,
I already knew about the basic facts of the Anunnaki before I read the Lost Book of ENKI. However, that book, like,
same.
Jump started me into this story. But I understand it so much more now after reading this.
Yeah. So, like I was going to say, it would be really hard to understand the Bible or specifically Genesis without like reading about the Anunnaki. Like it ties so many pieces of the puzzle together. And I was in your same boat. I'd read like Lawrence Gardner truly opened my eyes to the Anunnaki first, but he gave this very broad stroke analysis in his books. And it was like he didn't waste any pages, but there's other books that just find a way to go deeper. And like the Lost Book of ENKI, like one day I hope it's treated as like a book for history class. It's that dense and detailed with historical events that have happened on Earth since 480,000 BC.
And that's what I try to explain is that when you read this book, you notice stuff, you start to recognize things. You start to recognize things you've learned about. You're like, this sounds so much like this. But, oh, this is just a story. It's like, is it?
Right.
No, think again.
The ice ages, the floods, the first appearance of hominids. Like it's the jigsaw puzzle is completing itself with the internet and people like us. It's just a matter of time.
I think you're right, dude. So ENKI heads to Earth.
Yes. He's hot on the trail for Alalu.
All right. Now we're going to, and this is the starting of the fourth tablet in the Lost Book of ENKI. Well, it talks about Alalu getting there, and then that which the water sucks in and thrust out. So here we go. So he heads to Earth because he gets this radio call from Alalu saying, "Hey, I found gold. You know, come and get me." Basically thinking he's redeemed himself in some way.
He says
Right? Didn't he think since he found all this abundance of gold that they would automatically like put him right back up on the throne, or
he took on the savior complex.
right?
He said Nibiru's fate is in my hands.
Wow, he did say that. And so, yeah, that's not the right complex you want to have as one of these beings.
When you're like essentially stranded with like your pilot, maybe one other guy, possibly a Laylim, like they're gonna come.
Yeah, you got one guy there that's like calling you out. Like as soon as you get there, he's like, "I've been here for like, get out of here! You're killing animals. You killed this snake.
Why'd you kill that snake?"
He's like, "Bro, you're fucking up the pit. Like, get out of here." And so ENKI heads to Earth with 50 heroes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna read this real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the account of how Eridu on Earth was established, how the count of 7 days was begun. In silence did Alelu Ea embrace. With tears of joy his eyes were filled. Before him, Ea bowed his head. Respect for his father by marriage he was showing. In the marshes, the heroes were advancing. More donned fishes' suits. More toward the dry land were rushing. There you go with the fishes' suits. And now we can talk about Dagon.
Let's go.
Let's get it. So, ancient Phoenicia, Dagon, the Canaanite deity, was this ENKI.
I've heard of Dagon through these ceremonial magicians that I used
Through
to
the
listen
Lovecraft stories.
Are you familiar with the Church of the Hermetic Sciences? CHS, but that's not
CHS.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I don't think I've heard of it, man.
They are. It's this like ceremonial magician group that kind of an extension of the Order of the Golden Dawn. So like the Golden Dawn's kind of based all over. They came from Europe. Now they're have a headquarters in Florida. I'm sure they're in more places, but CHS is based out in Mount Shasta in Cali.
Oh, isn't it? Okay.
So they got my attention because they did a spin on the Tree of Life in the numbering system. They changed 1, 2, 3 with Da'ath missing in the middle, and they made it 0, 1, 2, 3 returning Da'ath.
So that's just subversion by occultists.
Yeah.
I think that was done in almost every mystery school.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm very familiar with the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
There was a period of time where I was listening to this dude's podcast, and the gods and these ancients that he mentioned were always of the Phoenician variety, or like
right.
And so like that's where I've heard Dagon before as the god of the sea or the god of the fish, and it has to be the same dude.
It seems like these Phoenician deities, these Canaanite, names, are who's being worshipped today, maybe. I don't know.
There's something about the names they use for their ceremonies.
Yes, that's what I meant. There's something about these Canaanite names. That's why they are still used today, right? Baal, Dagon. I want to pull up a picture of Dagon with his fish hat on.
Bro, that's ENKI. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that you got it. Like you said, let's fucking go. Yeah, man. It's uncanny, right? I mean, the similarities.
Yeah, all these ancient gods were depicted with beards, hats, and then some sort of symbolism that showed their technological prowess or their preferred method of travel, whether that's wings for flying or
fins for swimming.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, this ties into the Vatican and the Pope, obviously. You've seen the hats that they wear. And people can say all day that they wear them to symbolize Christ. I don't think so. It's the symbolism, it's right there in front of us, but it's not transparent. They don't explain that that's what that means. You understand?
Mhm.
So, of course, it has to be the other, right? I mean, I'm sure it could go either way. I don't know. I'm not a Catholic. I've looked into the Jesuits and the people that run the Vatican. That's the extent of that. And I know about the ritualistic prayers and everything that happen in the Catholic Church. And there are a lot of good Catholics, man. It's not the people. It is the people at the very top who, if anything, have confused everybody. That's what religion, some people would argue, has done. That's all it's done. Confuse people and make people fight and argue more and just divide and conquer, basically. Just another tactic that the elites have been using for a long time. And so I'm not saying anything about Catholicism, guys. Don't jump down my throat or anything, But I mean, look, you have Dagon, the fish deity of the Canaanite pantheon. So let's pull up a picture of the Pope or something. I'm going to keep reading while you find that, okay? More donned fishes' suits, more toward the dry land were rushing. Keep the chariot afloat, Anzu was commanding. In the waters anchor it, the mud ahead avoiding. Ashore stepped the heroes. Before Alelu they were bowing. Ashore came Anzu, the last the chariot to depart. Before Alelu he bowed. With him Alelu in welcome locked arms. To all who had arrived, Alelu words of welcome spoke. To all who were assembled, Ea words of command spoke. Here on earth I am the commander, he was saying. On a life or death mission we have come. In our hands is Nibiru's fate. He looked about for a place for encampment he was searching. Heap up soil, mounds fashioned there. Ea gave command, an encampment to set up. To a place not afar he was pointing, a reed hut abode by Alelu erected. So yeah. Then it gets into these 50 heroes. Each one had a particular job. And it was evening and it was morning. Their first day on earth it was. By daybreak, Ea the ongoings considered, to separate waters from waters heed he was giving. Inger he made of the sweet waters the master, drinking waters to provide. To the snake pond with Alelu he went, its sweet waters to consider. Evil serpents in the pond were swarming. So did Inger to Ea say. The marshlands Ea then contemplated, the abundance of rainwaters he weighed. So that he starts naming off these different names for these different beings. Inger is one of them. Drinking waters to provide was his job. So this guy's job was basically filtering water, right?
Right.
All right.
These heroes don't get enough credit. And I haven't discovered the term hero in any stories before these people. Like these ancient Star Wars, right? You hear about wars and battles and kings and princes and queens, but you don't hear hero. You don't hear the term war hero. There's something about these 50 people that ENKI brought. They were heroes for leaving their home planet to begin with. And for some reason, they were like, people knew that they were heroes from the jump. So from my experience, these are like the first historical heroes on Earth that have been written about.
Right. When I think of heroes, I think of men of renown, heroes of old, the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Who I'm sure they'll get their own episode as well. There's a few names that we could consider. Gilgamesh, obviously. Oya and Mahaway, the son of Barikiel. That's in the Book of Enoch. And some other names of giants. You have Goliath, who was not an Anakim, a Rephaim.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Rephaim, I think, from that tribe. So you had the Nephilim, the Anakim, the Rephaim, the Zamzumin, and then the Emin, Emin. Then you had the Gibor, who were the mighty men who David, I think, gathered to fight these tribes of giants. And people always forget that they talk about giants in the Bible. They think it's some symbolism, or it's like, no, this is real stuff. Giants existed. They're still fucking here.
Yeah.
It's plain as day. And they're being worshipped, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, these elites are probably finding these giant bones and taking them and making like makeup out of them and medicine, like their own medicine, doing a bunch of shit to them, dude. Like, where are all the giant bones going?
Dude, there's giants on the planet right now. I mean, think about it. Like, I got a buddy who's 6'9", and
I have a friend who's like 7'4", dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend. His name is Big John. He's half black, but he's done. I mean, dude, he's two of me. It seems.
Yeah. Yeah. And then imagine you're a dude who's 5'9". Like,
I'm 6'1", man, and he still just towers over me. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, that it appears to be a different species.
Even Mark Steves, you know, my buddy Nate, we were doing Schizo News Network, and he got brought up, and Nate was like, yeah, shout out, my family thinks I'm crazy. Mark Steves, probably a Nephilim, because they're friends and they go back. So it was funny.
I didn't know he was a tallie.
He's tall, man. Mark is fucking tall as shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, you should ask him. Be like, hey, Mark, I heard you were tall. You have Nephilim in you?
I should have known when I talked to him. It was probably like the top row of the bookshelf behind him. Like,
yeah. Yeah, man. I was talking to him. Well, we're going to talk soon about doing something, man. I'd love to go on there with you, dude.
Yeah.
So me and you, I really want to start doing some podcasts with you and talking about this stuff, because I do good talking about it, but at the same time, man, having you there, it's perfect.
We're like the basketball.
Dude. No, I swear, dude, because me and you both have these different, well, not too different of ideas, but we both came to this information from two different places and found each other. And now we are studying this stuff even further. And I'm learning things from you that I had no idea were even a factor. And you're learning things from me. I hope.
You are.
Yeah.
Having to research this stuff, I mean, we're talking about thousands and thousands of pages of source material.
Yeah, bro.
And some stuff I was reading today, I rediscovered. I was like, how did I forget that? There's more than one King Adam.
Wow.
It's like different episode, but like,
yeah, no.
There was an Adam that was created 300,000 years ago.
There was Adamu and there was Adapa.
Exactly.
Right?
So when I read Gardner, I want to say there was 3, but here in my Lost Book of ENKI notes, there's 2 major ones.
Adamu and Tiamat, and then Adapa and TT, right?
Yes. And what's interesting is there's a chance they overlapped on their lifespans. So like Adamu, granted, this is not about ENKI. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we're going off on a tangent, guys. Deal with it.
Deal with it. So, yes, Adamu was the first.
Okay.
The first Adam, Adamu. ENKI created them approximately 300,000 years ago. And that was like the in vitro fertilization operation, right? Project and Bit Shimti with Ninma, and a lot of trial and error, and finally they got it right. What's interesting is his name, Adamu, is also Enki Dumu. So you see his father's name in his other name, Enki Dumu.
Huh.
Yeah. Then,
Wow.
yeah, man. And then around 138,000 years ago, Adamu's kingship is ending, and his kingship is beginning, and Adapa was the son of an Earth woman in ENKI. So like
Wow.
ENKI was hooking up with Anunnaki.
He was hooking up with
The goddesses
people
and
from
humans.
Orion, chicks from
Right.
Orion. He was hooking up with the Earth women. He was hooking up with
Like,
his. I mean, wasn't he hooking up with his daughters, man?
granddaughters.
Oh
Like,
Jesus.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Man.
when we say he's the greatest of all time,
Talking about keep it in the family. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
we got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. It's
Yeah.
like these
Oh my
people had different life codes and rule systems, and
different morals. Yeah, man.
yeah, it's
That's when
complex.
when I talk about them being neither good or evil, it kind of explains itself because I mean they're not particularly good or bad. They're benevolent sometimes, and sometimes they're doing shit that makes us cock our head and be like, wait, what?
Yeah,
And then sometimes doing stuff that disgusts us.
right.
You feel me? So
What about this thought experiment? Like, would Enlil have been such an asshole if he wasn't continuing with Enki or Enki's offspring for all that time? Or like, would his promiscuity have been such an issue if it didn't affect the tribes of Enlil or their kind of warring factions? Like, it's all a jumbled mess if you think about it.
it's really just emotions and how people felt.
Yeah.
Like just like a dysfunctional family.
Yes. That's what we're
All
dealing with.
yeah, all these decisions, these worldly decisions affecting millions of people. Well, at the time, it was probably in the tens or hundreds of thousands. I don't know if it was up to 1 million people yet. But, and they're just like, it's like the kid with the magnifying glass in the anthill.
Yeah, they were acting like
What?
Inanna before Inanna came around.
Right?
Just
Oh, man.
off the cuff.
Dude. So I'm going to go back to reading this. In Bilulu, he placed in charge of the marshlands to mark out the thicket of reeds, him he directed. In Kimdu, so that's Enki MDU, in charge of ditch and dike he placed, a boundary for the marshes to fashion. I'm just going to skip ahead to all the names. I have them underlined. To Izamud, his vizier, Ea questions was addressing. What is this plant? What is that plant? Him he was asking.
It's
What is
awesome.
this plant? What is that plant? It's so simple, just like it is a mud, one of much learning, food that grows well he could distinguish. He tore a fruit for Ea, a honey plant it is, to Ea, he was saying. One fruit he himself ate, one fruit Ea was eating. Of food that grows by its good distinguish, Ea the hero guru put in charge. So far we have Inger and Bilalu, Inkimdu, Izamud, Guru. Then we have Ea, Alalu, Alalim, and Anzu. And then we have, I guess, another 46 heroes. It's not that many people on Earth at the time, you know?
Not from this faction of Anunnaki.
Exactly. I was just about to say, perhaps there were other extraterrestrial races there, or maybe already a race of humans. that was living there,
Possibly.
right? Like the
Right.
early Homo sapiens before Homo sapiens sapien, or something that we don't even
Right.
know.
Right. Our ancient cousins.
Exactly. So, of food that grows by its good distinguish, Ai, the hero guru, put in charge. Thus were the heroes water and food provided, satiated they were not. And it was evening and it was morning, the third day on earth it was. On the fourth day the wind ceased blowing, the chariot by waves was not disturbed. Let tools from the chariot be brought, let abodes in the encampment be built, Ai thus commanded. Kula, in charge of mold and brick, Ai appointed, from the clay bricks to fashion. Mushdamu, to lay foundations, he directed, dwelling abodes to erect. On the fifth day, Ai Ningersig, a boat of reeds to fashion, commanded. And that's when people get into the etymology of the Red Sea versus the Reed Sea. Yeah, man. I know you've heard about that.
Yeah.
How it may not have been an ocean, just a field.
Yeah.
So that's Ningersig.
Yeah.
The measure of the marshes to take, the stretch of the swamplands to consider. Ulmash, he who what in the waters swarms knows, who of fowl that fly has understanding. What the fuck did I just read? let me reiterate. Ulmash, Ulmash, he who what in the waters swarms knows, who of fowl that fly has understanding.
This is a master of animals, sea and air and land. Well, sea and air.
Okay. Thank you, because I was stuck on just the way that was explained. Oh man, their way of speaking was so similar to us, but so different.
I love it.
Oh,
it's like Yoda mode.
It is Yoda, bro.
Yeah.
And that's when you get to Yoda being the Green Man, and I guess we'll go ahead and say ENKI aligns in Egypt with Ptah, who is green, just like Osiris. And when I think about this, and people will be like, well, how can he have been like half fish in this age, but in all the way in the future he's green. He's depicted as this. I mean, they all have the elongated skulls. You feel me? They all have the tall heads, and so that's when we get into the halls of Amente and them incarnating in these avatar bodies throughout the ages. Their consciousness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thoth Ningajita would fashion these meat suits for them. Right?
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he was only fashioning them for the main family.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Even his uncle and his cousins. Because of, I mean, man, if anything, Ningajita, if not Dumuzi, was the most benevolent.
I'd say so.
Yes. You don't see him hurting people anywhere. You don't see him destroying cities or getting people to worship him. And Billy Carson talks about this when he comes from Atlantis into the land of Kim. He talks about people groveling at his feet and him telling them to get up, and that he is a son of Atlantis.
Yes.
And to not worship him.
Right.
There is something greater to worship. I don't think he was talking about his father or his uncle. I think he was talking about the creator of all.
That's it.
We were just thinking the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Same wavelength.
It's in the ether, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Ulmash as a companion Ai took, between good and bad to distinguish. Huh.
Ai took Ulmash as a companion.
He couldn't figure out this Ulmash guy, I guess. Or was he a guy that had discernment? Did he help ENKI kind of make decisions? I know that's what a vizier does.
He's still talking about the animals of the sea and the air. Which ones are good and which ones are bad.
Okay. Makes more sense. Thank you for clarifying that. Kinds that in the waters swarm, kinds that in the skies give wing. To Ulmash many were unknown. Bewildering was their number. Good were the carp. Among the bad they were swimming. That's interesting. In Bilaloo, the marshland's master, Ea summoned. Inkimdu, in charge of the ditch and dike, Ea. Okay, we already talked about them. On the 6th day, Ea of the orchard's creatures took account. Enersag, Enursag, literally Ninhursag without the N, just change that I to an E and there you go. To the task he assigned, that which creeps and that which on feet walks to distinguish. That which creeps.
Yes. So
when they say creeps, dude, I'm like, yeah, y'all are talking about reptiles, but what kind of reptiles?
Yeah. So Ulmash seems to be the master of the fish and the birds, and Intersag is the land mammal guru.
This is fascinating, dude. I've never looked into this section of this chapter like we are right now. Like I've always read over it and been like, okay, well, I'll come back to that if I want to dive deeper into it, but I never have.
It's deep.
Yeah, man. And here we go. So Ea Kula summoned. To Mushdamu urgent commands he gave. By eve time the abodes to be completed, by a fence for protection to be surrounded. The heroes to the task put their shoulders, bricks on the foundations were quickly laid. With reeds were the roofings made, of cut down trees was the fencing put up. On Zu, a beam that kills from the chariot brought over. A speaker that words beams at Ea's abode he set up. On the 7th day, the heroes in the encampment were assembled. To them, Ea spoke these words. A hazardous journey we have undertaken. From Nibiru to the 7th planet, a dangerous way we traversed. At Earth, we with success arrived. Much good we attained. An encampment we established. Let this day be a day of rest. The 7th day hereafter. A day of resting always to be. Let this place henceforth by the name Eridu be called. Home in the faraway, the meaning thereof will be. Let a promise be kept. Let Alalu of Eridu, the commander, be declared. The heroes thus assembled. In unison agreement shouted. Words of consent Alalu uttered. Then homage to Ea he greatly paid. Let Ea a second name be given. Nudamud, the artful fashioner, let him be called. In unison, the heroes' agreement announced, and it was evening and it was morning, the 7th day. Yeah, man. Nudamud. We're back to square one. It's like, okay, well, now he's being called by another name. And he has a whole new chapter of his life now. You know?
I want to know where ENKI went to college, or like who his favorite teacher was growing up. If it wasn't his mentor, symbolic father Anu, like what kind of education system was happening on Sirius, Orion, or Nibiru for him, out of all the competition, to become the smartest, the most intelligent, the artful fashioner?
Was it the Orion genes?
I think it was.
Had to have been. He's the only one
Yes.
from Orion. And that's why you have all his children kind of resemble his intelligence.
Right.
More so than the like jocks that Enlil raised, basically, like the meathead popular kids destroying and fighting,
That's a great analogy.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, man. I try to do that to make more sense of the families and the clans. And yeah, man, this is really the beginning of the story. We're now getting to the beginning of the story.
This is the beginning. We had to all up.
Enlil hasn't even come to Earth yet.
And he won't for another 21,000 years.
Dude, that long? Like,
yeah.
But on Earth, that's so ENKI had
because Alelu found the gold, the agreement was when ENKI decided to go confirm it and help Alelu send it back there, the agreement was let Alelu be king of Earth. Let him think he has this power. We're just going to go pretend to be chill, help him extract it, help the Anunnaki send it back.
Right. And then when we're done, we'll get Dad to come and handle the situation, in
Exactly.
which he does, and Alelu gets sent off to Mars.
Right. ENKI should have been the first king of the Earth, the first prince of the Earth, but he had some bad luck. He's still regarded as everyone's favorite for a lot of reasons, but he had some bad luck in those opening years, despite his efforts to save their home planet.
Right. Yeah. It seems like he always got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Same goes for Marduk, though, you could say. But it kind of seems like he was asking for it at the same time.
He brought it upon himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I see this
You
ENKI episode is going to be 3 parts.
You see what I meant? Like, he could be 25 years old by
You're right.
time.
You're right.
Like, I was joking when I first said that, but here we are.
So was the time on Earth not affecting him as much as it would eventually affect him?
We spoke about it last time, and I'm fascinated to figure this out.
Yeah, man. We can dive deeper into it.
Because he was born on Orion, transferred either directly to Sirius or directly to Nibiru through Sirius. So then he's got to acclimate to the Nibiru timescales, which long cold winters, short hot summers, long ass years, and then he comes to Earth. Everyone's like, granted, it isn't a Goldilocks zone, but still, like, there's got to be some sort of acclimation time. And
right.
But it said he didn't really start aging until his half sister Ninma placed a curse on him for having offspring with Lulu. That's later with the human.
Yes. Okay, because Lulu means primitive worker, right?
Just another word for human.
Right. What we were to them.
Yes.
They're workers. They're debt slaves. What we are today to the people that worship them.
There's Lulus everywhere.
Yeah, there's Lulus fucking everywhere. Start calling people Lulus, man. They're going to be like,
we should. No, I'm going to start that.
There you go. So I got in here that ENKI was Prometheus.
Yes.
Okay.
He gave fire. He taught man about the fire in more or less metaphorical sense.
And then he passed that to his son Gibble, who was the god of fire.
Yes.
You know, the son of ENKI. So, yeah, Prometheus lines up with that. We already discussed him being Odin. We did that last episode. I don't have to get into that. You know, I'll go off on that tangent. Poseidon, Neptune, Dagon, Ptah, Nudimmud, Buzur, Buzur.
The god of the deep mines.
Yeah. And we know that ENKI was the person who ran the gold mining operation.
You know, Buzur, however you say it, is not a name I've come across a lot, but he's right here in all the other ENKI names in this website I found. So
okay.
ENKI, Nudimmud, Ptah, Neptune, Buzur.
So then I also have Vishnu.
Oh, India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Enlil's role in India. But I do have him down as he would be Shiva. So then I have the last one we didn't discuss, Adonis or Adonai.
There's a chance Adonai may be another Anunnaki god. And potentially Nanar.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've dived deep into Nanar Sin, dude. Nanar Sin,
There's
everybody, by the way, is the oldest son of Enlil.
He's the first Anunnaki born on Earth.
Right. It was Nanar Sin, Ninurta, Ishkur.
Well, Ninurta was older, but he wasn't born here. He was born on Nibiru.
Because he was of Ninmah and Enlil.
Yes.
Nanar Sin was of Enlil and Ninlil.
Yes.
Okay. Different mothers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that always affects their position in some way, like their birthright, you know?
Right.
Who their mother was or who their father was.
The first male son that has a shot at the throne would be the son of the dad's half-sister. If Enlil had 4 sons, the son that would be first in line for the throne would be the son of his half-sister. Offspring of concubines had less of a chance to jump the ranking system. But the son of a half-sister was like literally what they wanted. It was like the perfect recipe to keep their bloodline and weird royal pedigree going.
I'll never understand that, man. Like, why? You know?
That was Ninurta. And Ninurta was the oldest. He was born off-world in their home environment. And then Nanar Sin, yeah, he's a special one. He's extremely special. We're talking about quite possibly the potential for the whole religion of Islam.
And that's what it's one of the first things when I first heard you on Mark's podcast, man, that when you said that, I was like, okay, I got to hit this guy up. I had already kind of been looking at Ninurta being Michael or maybe Ishkur.
He's Michael.
Yeah, and then Ishkur being Raphael and so on.
Yeah. And Nanar is Gabriel.
Gabriel. Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, that's another episode in itself, man.
The Archangel.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll do one on the Archangels, then we'll do one on the not so Archangels, the fallen.
Yeah.
You know. So then let's finish up here. The Lord. He's referred to. Is that him in the Old Testament being referred to as the Lord? What was he referred to in the Canaanites Bible? If you see him in there.
The serpent.
The serpent.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're back full circle to what we were talking about earlier with him being the serpent in the garden.
Yeah. I sent you an image a little while ago of the Pope in the fish hat, but this could be full circle as far as when the powers that be in the Roman Church and the Catholic Church.
This is what we meant to bring up earlier, guys. Yeah, that's it. Look, he has his bag.
So, a hardcore conspiracy theorist would say, not only did they take the most benevolent God, they took his symbolism and then made him the bad guy. Like,
oh, man.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear that, though.
Nah.
No one wants to hear that.
It definitely ruffles feathers, but
it ruffles more than feathers, dog. Like real shit. And we're just looking at it, from an objective point of view, and we are making observations, guys. We're not saying this is it, but when we look at it, and from our research that we've done, me and Adrian both, this is what we're coming to conclusions about. So take it with a grain of salt or take it how you will. But this stuff we're not making any of this shit up, we may give some opinions, but a lot of this is based on these texts. We're not just like throwing in little fucking cool parts to make stuff fit together. This is all happening naturally.
Yeah.
And that's what I find that's probably one of the coolest things to me is how we just keep digging and dig. Well, see, you could say we keep digging, but it's almost as if we're just kind of like along for the ride. And as we're on this ride, we keep having like cool shit thrown in our window. You know?
We're digging down, but we're also tunneling across.
Yeah.
You can
Exactly, man.
dig these two wells, but somehow we're going to connect them through this tunnel system that brings it all together.
And we could get into tunnels and you know, all that fun stuff at some point, maybe in, you know, the mining operations and the Abzu, as it's referred to,
or the underworld.
Oh God, yeah, the underworld, in which Nergal was left in command of. Probably wasn't the best thing for ENKI to do there.
Nah, man, he wasn't perfect. We got to
No.
admit it.
No,
But
he wasn't.
He tried hard.
And that's where we talk about learning from these stories, Adrian. These beings are just like us. They're flawed in every way. You do see these redemption stories, though, kind of throughout their history, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I go to saying, when I talk about dualism and both good and bad. And so when we look at this, we can learn from these stories, like we were saying at first on the first episode, and really kind of not make these mistakes again, grow as a race, humans, you know, because we're not much different from these beings. That's what I'm coming to the conclusion of, man. They may have just been a little taller and had some spiritual gifts that I'm sure we have, we just can't access. Because over time, our pineal gland and our energy, I mean, if we're being recycled, if our spirits are being rebirthed in these samsara, you know, kind of process, then, I mean, it seems like over time, the spirit would get a little worn out, or as somebody would say, their pineal gland being calcified over time, you know?
I kind of resonate with you on that. It's like if we are being recycled, it's going to be harder and harder to retain each life experience if you keep adding more onto them. And
yeah,
but at the same time, I also think that the modern human still has a ton of that power inside of them. But we live in a generation where, like when we were kids, was almost the last like great time to develop the discipline to access it. Now you still can, but you have to battle so much more, so many more distractions. Like when we were kids, it's like there had to be this time span of like when the internet came out, but before social media came out, where people just used it to research. Like that had to be a golden period, right?
Oh yeah, man.
But now, like, yes, our pineal glands are, the power of the pineal gland is getting stripped away. We're constantly distracted by screens, by drama, by real wars, by fake wars. And those natural clairvoyant or magical or enlightened powers are just way more difficult to unlock for the average person. Like you might need to go spend 7 days in nature just to have a chance at starting the process.
I love that, man. I love that. So yeah, man, we're going to come back to ENKI, I guess, on the next episode. Is there anything that you wanted to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, one final thing, and it's more of just
man.
It's more of just an appreciation, observation of the heroes. Like I've always been fascinated with these dudes in their fish suits, and I think they're like the OG Navy SEALs or special operators, but they were like the Navy SEALs of space. So imagine like you're not just going to go to another country, you know, parachute out your plane, land in a foreign environment, go build camp. These people are doing the same thing through space. And then they come here and each one has a specialty, right?
Right.
So like a special operations military team would have the breacher or the machine gunner or the medic or the radio comms guy or, you know, the chief leader, whatever,
Right.
just speak in general terms. And here you got the water purifying guy, the animal guy, the pilot. It's all very similar. Like they know how to do the baseline thing the same, but once they're on the ground, they have these different specialties. And I've always found that to be extremely fascinating.
Yeah, man. I also, when I first saw that, I didn't know that there were like people that he was talking about. I had to read it again to be like, oh, these are names of these guys he brought with him. These aren't names for animals or names for anything that he's doing or creating in the earth, as far as the rivers and mines and with everything having to do with animals. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more names that are in there that we can get into on the next episode, but that these beings represented more than just what he said their job was on another plane, or back home on
Right.
Nibiru.
Right.
Maybe they were experts in something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's so fascinating. I don't know if we'll ever uncover tablets or writings about the origin story of like a guru, right? Like what was his life like on Nibiru before he came here? But it is fun to think about.
Yeah, man. Well, everybody go follow Adrian on YouTube, Instagram, Adrian West HQ. You can also go follow his book series as he's making it on Instagram at pantheon.series. Also go buy Adrian's book, Pantheon 1, The Golden Veins, by him and Benson C. Saili. Saili. Yeah, and y'all go follow me on Instagram, graypilled_podcast, Twitter, graypillpod. I'm on Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble, Graypill Podcast, and I'm on BitChute at Graypill. Got these Pantheon projects. We're trying to keep pumping them out. Don't want to rush too much. So, like I said, we'll come back to ENKI probably on this next episode. I did Strange Brew podcast this morning. Everybody go check that out. My buddy Tomcat, he's a fellow conspiracy theorist from Canada. Love our brothers from the north, and that was a great time, man. And we dived into some of this stuff. Like I said, every time I'm on anybody's podcast, I'm always going to bring up the Elohim
Etymology.
Yeah, bro. Elohim etymology. And guys, Schizo News Network every Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Be there or be gay. And so
choice is yours.
The choice is yours. It's always yours. Anyway, Adrian. All right, man. Also, everybody go to oddfellowsbrand.com and buy some clothes and some merch, some stickers from my buddy Cody. He does Schizo News Network with me. And go to paranoidamerican.com and support Thomas over there. He has a new comic book series, Adult Occult, that he just put out. He keeps dropping fire. Comic after comic. He just put a new sticker pack out. It's awesome stuff, man. No one's doing it like Paranoid American right now. And go to Organite.com. My buddy Isaac, it's pretty amazing, man. He lives in Oregon, and there's this mineral called Organite. It's like a crystal, and he makes these pyramids out of this substance and forms these like EMP shield, like pyramids and cubes that you can. Yeah, man, I'll send you a link so you can go check it out. But that's OregonNight.com, OREGON-ITE.com. Yeah, like the state-ite.com.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Just supporting a few friends of mine, you know.
Respect.
Yeah, brother. All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. Adrian, as always, man, it was a pleasure.
Keep it real, man. We'll chat very
soon. Keep it real too, bro. You keep it real, man. We got to. Yes, always. Sir. Until next time. Yes, sir. I'm sure I'll be texting you later. So
yeah, there's a lot to text about.
Hell yeah, brother. All right. Well, guys, stay gray-pilled, and we'll see y'all on the other side. Peace.
The Super Predator playset comes with a shape-shifting reptilian politician, light-up severed head, jar of adrenochrome, Book of the Dead, and more. The Paranoid American playsets. Collect them all new from ParanoidAmerican.com.
Disclaimer. These are custom art creations and not toys meant for wimpy little new world order babies. Don't eat the art. Don't sue the artist. For more details, visit ParanoidAmerican.com.
Gather round, all you mystery seekers. We're diving deep into the dark, exploring realms beyond what's known, where the secrets of the shadows leave their mark. Take a ride on the Greyfield Express, where esoteric knowledge is our guest. From conspiracies to cryptids, we unveil the veil. Mysticism and the occult, our forbidden tale.